Today we're looking at the Mad Turtle Expert Advisor. So this is a bot that trades gold, and supposedly it's very heavily reliant on the use of artificial intelligence. So this gentleman here claims to be like an AI savant, and that he likes to kind of study it, and that he actually writes a blog on the subject. So I went through and went through some of his posts, and he does seem actually rather knowledgeable on some of the main concepts. This video is sponsored by our free Golden Time Bomb Expert Advisor. Take your trading to the next level through automating the London breakout and the opening range breakout. Click the link in the description to download the EA completely for free. Like for instance, he's really talking a lot about gradient boosting and decision trees, and these are some of the most popular models in actual building in actual trading quantitative finance. Second of all, he does know time series models, and he also knows that pure neural nets are not exactly amazing for trading. So he actually does seem to know what he's talking about. So he's actually quite well versed in AI terminology. And that's why when he says this is an AI bot, it might very well be using an internally coded AI model, because it is very possible to do that in MQL5. So pretty neat, actually. And if we look at some of the other features here, supposedly it is not using any crazy strategies like grid or martingale. Each order has a stop loss, and there's also apparently a lot of feature engineering which is done in the AI models, which is actually a real term which people typically do in quantitative finance. So it looks pretty promising indeed. So I think he's saying that because this is a rather new bot, there's not a ton of information yet, and there's no live signal. However, he is referencing that we should go check his MyFX book so that we're able to see information once it's published. So the one kind of knock against him is this is a well trade signal, so that's not exactly super reassuring that he's able to manipulate the data if so inclined. So far he's just deposited and withdrawn a few times. He's kind of getting it ready to be used. But if we actually look at the ideas behind it, it's pretty neat. So from what I can see here, it does look rather grid-like, but he said there's no grid and no martingale, so maybe it's more just the entry. And the idea seems pretty neat. So yeah. Overfitting. So all pretty good signs actually. So the one thing to note is that the signal using well trade's a bit fishy, but apart from that, it actually looks like there might be something real here. Looking at this 1 year back test, we can see that it is kind of definitely taking losses. The risk reward, it looks like roughly a 1-to-1 with a 63% win rate, which is very reasonable. Like he's slightly beating, or not slightly, but he is beating break even, but there's nothing manipulated or fishy about the actual back test, which is pretty cool. And at the same time, it looks like it's running more of a mean reversion style system. It does look kind of similar to what we're seeing in his real in his trading screenshots as well. So also looking pretty solid. So yeah, it looks pretty okay so far. If we can see that there's a stop loss, take profit, you're allowed to turn off buys and sells. You can see that this is his general name, his company name here, Mad Turtle. So from what I can see so far, it looks legit, and the main driver behind it is probably some sort of indicator. And he does claim to have an AI model in it, which could very well be the case. He could be using Light GBM or Cat Boost or some sort of more decision tree based model in order to make decisions. So that is very, very legit. So here he's saying that this is essentially his AI model, which is a hard-coded, I think it's a gradient boosted tree, which is taking data, likely technical indicators, and making decisions. So yeah, it's actually pretty neat. What I can see so far, real bot, likely the trigger is based on some sort of, it appears to be pending orders, like limit orders at highs and lows. Or actually no, sorry, it was just an entry here. That's a take profit and a stop loss. So it appears to be entering market. Yeah, market sell, market sell. So likely the entry is more of a mean reversion style indicator, which is causing it to enter, perhaps price action based. The AI actually looks pretty legit here, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's hard-coded a model behind it. The one big caveat is well trade signals, and on MyFX, that looks a little bit fishy to me. So I'm curious as to why, like if it's a good bot, if you did all this work, like why don't you just set up an IC Markets or a Vantage account just so that people can trust and know the broker behind it? So that is my kind of one caveat. But apart from that, it looks pretty good. So once we actually see a live signal, maybe he publishes multiple live signals, that could give us a lot more insight as to what exactly it's doing. So let's press run here for a little bit longer. We can see that it does hold for relatively short periods of time, but not crazy, seeing as these are hourly charts. It does occasionally use different entries, like sometimes it holds for a fairly long period, we're seeing right here. Sometimes it's taking these really short profits. I'm curious as to what the AI model is doing, if it's just purely a filter, or if it's also kind of helping the trailing stop loss be activated. But this kind of buy-sell like filter on top of an existing trading strategy is usually a pretty smart way to implement AI. So he does seem to know what he's doing there. He's not using it as the primary driver of the trading strategy, but more as an additional filter to help make trading decisions. So that looks pretty neat. And based on his knowledge from the blog, if we kind of go back to that here, we can see that that's actually, all of this looks pretty legit. He's also saying that like, don't necessarily just rely on LLMs. There's a bunch of different types of AI models which might give you a little bit more context than just using ChatGPT, which is also pretty interesting indeed. Stacking meta models. So yeah, this is exciting. Let's wait to see for the live signal what the performance actually looks like. But based on his knowledge and based on the fact that this looks real, there could be something here. So let's just wait and see, and hopefully within a month or two we have a much better idea. Guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.